Everybody online is telling you what you need to do in order to scale. Run this ad, post this content, hire this person. But nobody actually talks about the real reason that you're stuck, because it's not what you're not doing. It's what you refuse to stop doing. You see, you don't scale by doing more. You scale by removing the tasks that are silently killing your growth. And I learned this lesson during the years that I was drowning in my own company. Every day felt like Groundhog Day, long hours, endless problems, constant pressure. And every time the business wobbled, I tightened my grip and tried to push harder. Because that's what we're taught, right? Work harder, knuckle down, be stronger, carry it all. But pushing harder didn't free me. If anything, it buried me deeper. And it wasn't until I sat down with my mentor one day who did a review of my business that I realized the truth. My business wasn't stuck because I wasn't doing enough. It was stuck because I was busy doing all of the wrong things. And that's the shift that most founders never make. Because most people think that scaling comes from addition. It doesn't. It comes from subtraction, removing the habits that keep you stuck in the weeds so that your business can finally breathe without you. So in this video, I'm breaking down the 3 tasks that founders must stop doing if they want to grow, scale, and eventually step into the CEO role. So let's get into it. Task 1, stop acting like the smartest person in the room. Here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to tell you. If every idea, every solution, and every strategy still comes from you, you don't have a team. Well, you do, but you have a team of assistants. And assistants aren't gonna grow your company. They're gonna grow your workload. And honestly, guys, this was me for years. I absolutely loved being the smartest person in the room because it fed my ego. It made me feel like I was in control, like I was the man. It convinced me like I was leading. But here's the reality that I didn't want to admit. The more that I tried to be the brain, the dumber my team became. And not because they didn't have any intelligence or because they lacked talent, but because I trained them to rely on me for everything. So every time you step in with the answer, what you're actually doing is robbing someone of the chance to actually think. And every time you decide quickly, you slow down the entire organization. And every time you jump in to fix something, you signal to the rest that don't worry, I'll always be the one who figures it out. You can't scale a business if your team still treats you like the company Wikipedia. And so if you want to scale, you have to retire the hero. And instead, you need to step into the role of the architect. Because heroes, yes, they save the day, but architects build the structure so that the days never need saving. So here's how you stop being the smartest person in the room and start becoming the most scalable person in the room. Firstly, you need to start answering questions with questions. So when they come to you with a problem, instead of you saying, do this or do that, what you do instead is ask them, what do they think they should do? Or what do they think the best solution is? And it's such a simple reframe, but it pushes them to start thinking so that you can start freeing yourself. And so instead of you always giving them the blueprint, they can begin formulating their own roadmap to get the desired results. So secondly, you want to start creating leaders and not followers. And so in order to do this, you have to start giving people ownership and not tasks. Don't allow them to settle for mediocrity and the path of least resistance. Instead of them bringing questions to your desk or to your office, ask them to bring solutions. Get them to anticipate problems, choose a direction, and justify the decisions that they make, and then own their outcomes, whether those outcomes are successful or not. Thirdly, provide the frameworks so thinking isn't required from you. Because if the business only works when you think, that's not a business. That's a dependency that's draining your energy each and every day. So you need to start documenting the thought process so that other people can run it. Create the frameworks so that they can arrive at the same conclusion as you normally would. And once you do this, again, it's going to empower your team to start making their own decisions and to begin thinking for themselves. Number 4, step back so that your team can step up, because growth requires space. And your team's never going to be able to grow if you're always crowding every decisions. So sometimes you're going to have to step away, even if there's a strong urge to step in to assist. Now, this does take a level of discipline, but you have to allow them the time to figure it out themselves. And you also have to allow them to make mistakes, as you would have done, is a necessary part of their learning. So there can't be negative consequences if they do. You have to be able to hold space so it's safe to do so. Here's the second task that's stifling your growth, and that's stop hiring helpers instead of operators. And again, this is going to be another bitter pill to swallow, because most founders are responsible for this. And that is that they hire people who do what they're told instead of hiring people who own the result. And that's probably why your daily life feels like you're dragging the business uphill, because helpers ask things like, What do you want me to do next? Can you check this before I send it? What's the right way to approach this? And look, it's okay to ask questions, but if every question creates an invisible thread that ties the operations back to you, then that's a problem. Helpers are going to increase your headcount, but operators are going to increase your capacity. Helpers are going to give you tasks, but operators are going to give you progress. And a helper is going to wait for your instructions, but an operator is going to create momentum. And the reason you're exhausted isn't because you work hard, it's because you're hiring people who need you to think for them. And if you want a business that grows without you, then naturally you're going to have to build a team that's able to make decisions without you having to hold their hand. Hire people who take your business forward without waiting for permission. That's when you stop being a manager and start being an actual CEO. So what you need to do instead, transform your hiring strategy and everything changes. Firstly, hire for ownership, not skill. So what you need to do is ask cadets, what decisions did they make in the last role? How did they change the direction of their company? What problems did they solve without being told? You must start bringing people on board who can contribute to the business beyond turning up every day or simply responding to an email. Secondly, give autonomy early. So day 1, give them a small decision to make. By day 7, give them a responsibility. And by the end of the month, day 30, give them ownership of a full process, because people naturally rise to the level of trust that you instill in them. And I know it could be tricky, but it's surprising how much you get back from your team by giving them a little trust and a little responsibility. Thirdly, create clear outcomes and not tasks. So instead of doing what you normally do, like, you need to send 20 emails, you could say something like, book 5 qualified calls by Friday. How you get there is entirely up to you. Now what you're doing is reframing it and rewarding them for thinking and not completing. You're encouraging them to use their own initiative. And yes, initially they may come to you to get validation on the decision that they're making, but after a while, they're going to gain the confidence to listen to their own intuition. Number 4, install KPIs so you manage progress, not people. You see, A players thrive on targets. Assistants hide behind activity. So by installing KPIs, you install the motivation within your team to aim higher and to hold them to accountability. No one wants to be seen as publicly failing. So this gives them a drive to go the extra mile. And number 5 is to fire fast when somebody can't think independently. Look, you can train skill, but you can't train drive, initiative, or ownership. Yeah, these are values that are deeply embedded within the individual. Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it's going to take you both a level of time and money. And for small businesses, this is often a luxury that we don't have. So the motto is hire slowly, fire fast, because a helper-heavy team guarantees burnout. The third task that you need to drop out because it's stifling your growth is to stop customizing everything. Now, this one might sting a bit because founders love to feel like they're giving white glove service to the client. But here's the reality. Customization is probably one of the most expensive addictions in business, because if every time you make a special exception for a client, you break the system that was supposed to set you free. Custom proposals, custom delivery, custom pricing, custom onboarding. It feels like going extra mile, but in reality, you're building 12 different businesses inside of one company. And that's why things like deadline slip or the quality of your service might vary depending, or no one can take over from you, or you can't hire properly, or you can't forecast, or you can't step away. And it's this level of customization that makes you the glue, because everything sticks and is dependent upon you. So when you're scaling, you do so through consistency, not customization, because people aren't paying more for special treatment, they pay more for predictable excellence. So if freedom is something that you yearn for, then you must start standardizing your service so that your team and not you delivers it. Because the moment your client gets a different version of your business stops being scalable and starts being chaos with a logo. So here's how you escape the customization trap. You have to productize your offer. Turn what you do into a defined package, a fixed process, and a relatable system. Predictable steps, clear boundaries. This way you can begin to create one way of doing things, which eliminates any errors, it creates more efficiency and becomes easier to train. McDonald's is able to scale because the menu is fixed regardless of where you go. So your business should be too. Number 2 is to set non-negotiable delivery standards. Your team should know that this is how we do it every time. Yeah, it's one standard. And so your processes begin replacing personality, meaning it doesn't matter who's doing the action, the outcome is still the same. And by setting this level of standardization across your company, your standards replace the chaos. Thirdly, build templates so the work is 80% done before you start. Templates actually reduce decisions, and this is going to eliminate starting everything from scratch. It's just a case of inputting some vital data, then you're gone. Less decisions have to be made, which reduces wasted time, and less wasted time spent means less stress for you. Number 4 is to charge more for the system, not for the custom work. This might be a surprise, but premium clients, they don't want special treatment. What they want is certainty, speed, and defined outcomes and results. So when you standardize your service, you deliver all 4. They know exactly what to expect and the quality that they're going to receive. So guys, these are the 3 tasks that founders must stop doing if they want to scale. So stop acting like the smartest person in the room. Stop hiring helpers instead of operators, and stop customizing everything. But here's the bigger truth behind all of this. Scaling isn't a tactic problem, it's an identity upgrade. Because most founders stay stuck because they're still operating like the person who first started the business, instead of the person who's supposed to be growing it. It might seem obvious to some, but you can't scale with the same habits, the same impulses, and the same mindset that built your business in the first place. At some point, you're gonna have to let go of needing to be the hero, needing to be involved, needing to be the answer, and needing to be needed. Because the moment you release those habits, you stop then being an operator and you start evolving to become the architect. And that's when everything changes. Your team rises, your systems solidify, and your business becomes predictable. And you finally get the space to lead your business and not react to it. And this is the identity shift that takes founders from overworked technicians to becoming actual CEOs. And if you're watching this thinking, Ryan, this is literally me, this is the shift that I need to make, then you're exactly the founder that this channel was built for. And if you want the full blueprint that I used to scale my company, step out of operations, move my family to Bali, Indonesia, and eventually engineer a multi-7-figure exit, then click the first link in this description and I'm gonna walk you through the entire rapid exit system roadmap so that you can build a business that finally gives you the freedom, wealth, and life you've been working for. See you inside.